Welcome to the bunker. This is my Light-Paws Voltron deck list for Historic Brawl in MonoWhite. I'm running Light-Paws, has a super awesome ability whenever you cast an aura. So what is a cast trigger? You can search through your deck for an aura of equivalent mana cost or less and attach it directly to Light-Paws. So the plan is to play Light-Paws on turn 3, protected, and this is the protection suite. We also use Shizujiri Shelter on top of the others that we are running in the deck. There's 14 protection spells in the deck that do allow for a protected turn 3 Light-Paws. The one that doesn't is Karametra's Blessing, because it does require the Light-Paws is enchanted before you can protect it with Karametra's Blessing. And Shizujiri Shelter, because it's 2 mana. I'm running it because it's an MTFC, so it is fine to drop this on turn 1. So we're running 33 auras in the deck, and there's about a 75% chance to draw both protection on the play and then a 79% chance to draw protection on the draw with this list. So it's 3 out of 4 games on the play, 4 out of 5 games on the draw. You can actually play a protected Light-Paws, and the rest of the time, if you're up against control, you can just play Light-Paws without protection sometimes. That's always a super big benefit because it's just going to come online a turn faster. So for the Aura Search package, let me do this real quick. So for the Aura Search package, these are the auras that we can actually search for. These are the auras that you can't search for. I mean, well, you can. It's just not typically a good idea to search for these because it will attach directly to Light-Paws in most of these cases, or just fall off completely. So for the way that I have this laid out, this is the protection line. These are pretty much all the pants. So these are all the equipments and auras. This is all the auras and the one equipment, actually, that you're going to be putting on Light-Paws to make Light-Paws bigger and to give it more keyword abilities. This is the disruption package. A fair amount of these are also auras. We have a draw search package. There are a few auras that also draw cards. And then we do have a couple of accelerants. Starfield Mystic and Transcendent Envoy are fantastic on turn 2 instead of Light-Paws, and set up for an amazing turn 3 protected Light-Paws into turn 4 just firing off if you have a single enchantment in your hand or a single aura in your hand. So for the loop cards, we're running Conviction. It is the best card in the deck. It allows us to search repeatedly for 3 mana. So it's a 3 mana loop, 2 mana to cast and 1 to activate, and every time you cast it, you're going to be getting a different 2-drop out of your deck. This deck has almost all the keyword abilities. All of the main keyword abilities can be found within the 2-drop slot. So there's another backup for this in case that one gets removed, which does sometimes happen. Skyblade's Boon is your backup. It's a 5 mana loop, so it is 2 mana more on the loop ability than Conviction, but at least it does cast for 2 as well, so you still get a 2 mana spell back from your deck repeatedly. There are 3 ways to get Vigilance in the deck. Each of the main keyword abilities does have at least 3 other than Flying. So I'm running the cheapest ones just so that the deck can run as quickly as possible. Sentinel's Eyes is the first one with Vigilance, and Radiance Grace is the second one with Vigilance at 1 mana, and then there is Sentinel's Mark at 2 mana to get Vigilance, as well as Lifelink if you actually have it in your hand, you're not searching for it, and you cast it during your main phase. Super conditional. Flash is actually more useful on that one. There are a few that give us First Strike. Cartouche of Solidarity is super awesome, gets you a token as well as First Strike, and the all-powerful Ethereal Armor is a huge boost. First Strike and +1/+1 for each enchantment you control. There's also an All the Glitters that gets you +1/+1 for each enchantment you control as well as artifact that you control. So it's going to be a little higher. There's a very low artifact count, but sometimes it works out for the best. And then there's a Face of Divinity at the 3-drop slot, which also gives you lifelink, and it is 2/2 instead of the normal 1 power boosts on most of these. For the flying cards, we run Skyblade's Boon, which also is, again, one of the loop cards, but it does give you flying as well. And there's also Angelic Gift, which draws you a card and gets you flying. So those are really the only two ways that you can get flying in the deck, 3 mana or less. There are ways to do it at 4 mana or more, but there are no 4 mana cards in the deck, and really the only card above 4 mana in the deck is Amiri's Call, and it's really an MDFC that I think I've only played once in 367 games currently with the deck. So, you know, it's the deck is made to go really quick. For the lifelink package, we do have Rune of Sustenance at 2 mana, which does also draw a card, and there's always this niche moment where you can put the Rune of Sustenance on Swiftfoot Boots or Shadow Spear, because it's enchant permanent, and if it's an equipment, then it actually gives the equipment. The equipped creature has lifelink, so that's super fun. And Face of Divinity again gives you lifelink as well as Squire's Devotion. Squire's Devotion is right there. It gets you lifelink as well as whenever Squire's, and it gets you a token with lifelink. So that's a little nice bonus as well. Again, the two cards that draw cards. So we have this Draw Search package over here, but we also have the cantrips from Angelic Gift and Rune of Sustenance, as well as we do have a neat little ability to tap creatures, and that comes in with Glaring Aegis, which is also a 1/3 bonus, which is sometimes really nice. If you have one of the flash enchantments, you can always search for this in response to like Lightning Bolt, or to just get a huge toughness boost out of nowhere, as well as tapping a creature on the attack to just get through with a flyer. We do have a few that cast from the graveyard. Again, Sentinel's Eyes casts from the graveyard, so recursion. A lot of the times the creature gets, we're going to stop it with one protection spell, but they're still going to get a second or a third one off, one protection spell off, or one removal spell off on us. So Sentinel's Eyes casting from the graveyard is an added bonus. It is also 1 mana. We do have Ruffian's Guidance, which also does cast from the graveyard for 3, and then Skyblade's Boon. You can actually return it from the graveyard, so it is the safer of the two. The other one being Conviction again. So, and then there are a few with a Leaves play or a Death's Trigger, Valor of the Worthy. When it leaves play, you get a token. And then Radiant Grace, when the creature dies, it comes back into play as an aura enchantment and curses all creatures come into control tapped for the opponent, which is nice. We do have a Regrowth ability, which is awesome. There is only one way to get an enchantment back. It is this card. Haven't found a different way to do it at 2 mana that is also an aura. Obviously, there's a few cards that do get it back at the 2 mana slot besides Spectral Steel, but Spectral Steel being an aura is a huge bonus. And then again, the token producers, we have 3 cards that token produce. So Cartouche, Valor, and Squire. The 3 cards with Flash are Solid Footing with Flash, which has an added ability that if the creature has Vigilance, so again we have 3 ways to grab Vigilance and throw that on a creature. One of being Solid Footing plus Light-Paws can grab one of 2 Vigilance cards at 1 mana. It assigns Toughness instead of Power for damage, which is awesome. There are a few ways to boost Toughness in the deck dramatically. One's Conviction for 3 mana. 2 mana, you get a 3 boost. The other one is Glaring Aegis for 1 mana. You get a 3 boost, so that's 3 mana total, and you're getting 6 damage out of 3 mana, which is pretty awesome. As long as the creature has Vigilance. There are some super crazy synergies in the deck. Well, there's one really crazy synergy, and it's Light of Promise combined with any of the 3 lifelinking cards. So anytime the creature deals damage, if it has lifelink, the power essentially doubles. So that's a very fast clock. For super long games, there's a very cute, if you happen to draw Phyrexian Scrapyard, you just grab your Skyblade's Boon. And for a 5 mana loop every turn, if you have that much mana left over, you can actually just cycle through repeatedly and create, for every 5 mana, you can just summon a new land to your hand. Or you can conjure a new land to your hand. 16 interaction spells in the deck. We also carry the Mana Tithe, so it's 16 plus Mana Tithe. That's this stack right here. We're running 35 lands, and then 2 MDFCs, so really 37 lands, 32 of which provide white. And then we also carry a Mox Amber and a Springleaf Drum as well. I took out all the 2 mana protection spells because they just didn't seem fast enough, and I was trying to protect on turn 3. I was trying to play and protect Light-Paws on turn 3. I took out the Teferi's protection and the Guardian of the Faith because, again, although they're fantastic at protecting against almost everything, a 3 mana protection spell meant that I was holding up mana that I could have been using to cast auras and to loop auras, and I really wanted the protection suite to be as cheap as possible. Twinblade Geist and Catilda were definitely in the deck for a while. They're great threats, but I just dropped them because I wanted to focus on just getting Light-Paws out. Michigo's Reign of Truth and the Thran Power Suit they just felt a little over the top, so I took them out. I did have different removal in here. I've tested Portable Hole, Soul Partition, Settle the Wreckage, as well as a few of the sorceries. As far as the removal suite, if I'm playing a sorcery, I want it to be at an aura. I don't want to be playing a sorcery speed that's not an aura. So I took out that stuff, and the Settle the Wreckage was 4 mana, so I took it out because I wanted the deck to be much faster to be able to defend itself if that was the case. And Soul Partition, I switched the Soul Partition for Fateful Absence. I was testing between the two, and I just favor Absence because they can cast again with Soul Partition. If it's late game, it just kind of puts me in a worse spot. Where at least with Fateful Absence, to recast is 4 mana because I kill it. Or I'm sorry, it's 2 mana. It's the same, I guess. I don't know. I just tested both. Not really sure. Tested Danitha and Starheim Cancer as cost reducers, but again, dropped the 3 mana cost reducers in favor of just running the 2 mana cost reducers. The only really things that I have at 3 mana are either Search or Neutralization, or just this big combo effect right here of any of the life linking cards that can find Light of Divinity. I also tested the colorless man lands. Right now, all the colorless lands are either devoted to protection with Tyrate Sanctum and Plaza, or draw with the rest of these, except for Nykthos, which provides a huge mana boost, and Scrapyard, which is kind of neat because it does synergize. It's one of the newer cards in the deck, and it does synergize quite well with Skyblade Spoon. That's the deck. I built the mana base off of Frank Karsten's article off of Channel Fireball on balancing colored sources, the number of colored sources within a deck, as well as I used MTG Nexus's calculator to calculate the mana base as well, and was heavily inspired to build this list from I'm Not Fine. He's got a fantastic channel, as well as the Brawl Hub channel. There were a few games on there where Light-Paws was one of the 2 decks. So there it is. I'm going to go ahead and end this one, and we're just going to go ahead and continue with a few more wins in the next